Hello, in this video I'm going to do another highlight skill for tanking. This is going to be kind of a well, it's definitely situational. Um, Probably only needed in certain instances of the Elder Scrolls Online for PvE trials tanking, or maybe some hard mode DLC dungeon situations. Like if you're going to do hard mode Earthen Root Enclave or something like that, where the Archdruid's uh, bare breath is hitting you. Stuff like that, where you really need to get your block mitigation up. I'm going to go over uh, different ways to make sure you get your block mitigation up. So, um, as I'm sitting here right now, I do not have a skill slotted that I'm going to talk about, but I also want to briefly cover. There is a mythic that also helps out with block mitigation. They changed this mythic a little while back to where it is somewhat a good mythic for tanking, but you have to be very careful if you're going to use this mythic, and that is the Cerabane's Ward. Now, why this is important is because it increases your block mitigation by 30%. However, when you're wearing this, if you do anything that requires you to block, you cannot move at all. This snares you 100% of the way. So you have to be really careful if you are going to wear this mythic. Be real careful with that. I'm going to show you an alternative to where you can still move, and it comes in the form of a skill. Now, if you come down to your heavy armor, now in order to use this skill, you have to be wearing 5 pieces of heavy armor. In most cases, as a PvE tank, that's probably already going to be true. So let's get into the skill. Now, before you morph this, the skill is called Unstoppable, and what it does is it gives you a Major Resolve skill. So if you already have Major Resolve on your build, such as like I have Summoner's Armor here, you're probably going to want to replace the Summoner's Armor or whatever you're using for Major Resolve for Immovable, because you're not really going to want to have 2 forms of Major Resolve on. That's not really going to be that great. But the 2 main things and the main benefits of running this is it gives you an immunity to knockback for 6 seconds, but it reduces your movement speed by 90%. And then the other thing is, for each piece of heavy armor that is worn, the amount of damage that you can block is increased by 5%. So if you're wearing 5 pieces of heavy armor, then your block mitigation is going to go up by 25%. Now there's a caveat to that. I've covered this in my damage mitigation video for tanking, so if you have not watched that, I highly recommend you go on to my channel and locate that in my tank playlist folder and locate that video and take a look at it. Anytime you are doing something to mitigate damage, the percentage that they're going to reduce in terms of the amount of block that you can handle is not from the original amount. And what I mean by that is that this is what they mean when they say multiplicative instead of additive. So, for example, this is going to reduce your or increase your block mitigation rather by 25%. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to back out of here and I'm going to show you what my block mitigation is without the skill. So I'm blocking 82% of the damage. So let's just say, for example, I'm going to block something that's 100,000 damage, just to make it really easy to calculate. Well, if I can block 82% of that, that means there's only 18% left. So that means there's 18,000 left. So this skill that I'm talking about, immobilize, is going to reduce the leftover damage after that block mitigation, because every time you add into this, it becomes less potent. And how I can show that is I'll take that skill off real quick here, and I'll show you what my block mitigation is without this. On my front bar is 82. Okay, so if this were to truly just additively increase my amount that I could block by 25%, then that would be over 100. It would be 107 to be exact. Now, I can tell you that's not what it's going to do, because, well, two things. Block mitigation has a cap to it. The most that you can benefit from block mitigation is 90%. You can build above that if you want to, but you do not benefit from it. Just like if you're over the resistance cap, if you build to be, for example, 40,000 resistances, you're only going to benefit from it up to 33,000. There's a cap on that stat that you can get a benefit from. Block mitigation also has a cap of 90%. So, as I said, on my front bar, I'm sitting at 82%. Now I have to do this fairly quickly because the bad side of this is the buff only lasts for 6 seconds. So I go onto my skill, hit it, bar swap, and go in, and then there you can see it went up to 94.5, which is not 25. It's only 12. 12.5 to be exact. So that's why it's not as potent as it says in the tooltip. However, it is above the block mitigation cap of 90. So when I hit this and I bar swap and I'm at 94.5, I'm only going to get the benefit of 90%. But there are some fights in this game that you need to be at 90% of the block mitigation cap, because the damage is really, really high. Notably, like I said, Earthen Root Enclave hard mode with the bear breath is a pretty high damage area. Maybe even hard mode Scrivener Hall when you're fighting against Ozazon and she does the spit, or it does the spit. I don't know if there's a gender to that worm. I don't care. Or also hard mode Rock Grove if you're doing Bahase, the damage on that, as well as Zolvaka, is very high. Those are a couple of things. Possibly even Reef Guardian hard mode. That might be another spot, just to name a few. I'm sure there's some others that I'm not mentioning. I'm not looking to hit all bases. I'm just giving you a couple of for instances there. But that's exactly when you want to use this skill, is when you need to get to that damage mitigation cap, but you don't want to change out a lot on your build. Then you can get this immovable skill. There is one downside, is it costs stamina in order to hit this. So you, like I said in previous videos, you may want to look at maybe putting a stamina reduction glyph on one of your pieces of jewelry if you're going to start using more than just your taunt as a stamina skill, just so you can keep the cost of that down. But you can always just use Igneous Shield to give yourself some more stamina back. But that's going to do it for this video. I just wanted to kind of highlight a skill that maybe doesn't get looked at or or even taught about much anymore. Another really good spot, by the way, real quick before I end this, if you're tanking the last boss in AA and you don't have any immobilization or knockback potions on you, maybe you forgot to build some, this can be used against the last boss so she does not knock you back. That can be very helpful if you're in a pinch of, oops, I forgot my potions. You can just slot this on your bar, and this, I'll just show the skill in action. When you have that little white bubble around you, you're getting the block mitigation as well as the snare. So as you can see, I'm moving around at normal speed right here, and then I will reactivate the skill, and you can see how much I slow down. Now, if you're running Bracing Anchor, that's also going to affect things. So just be mindful of that. Whenever you tag this, that's where you're kind of meant to be standing still and not moving, so you can handle whatever's hitting you. Once it goes off, then you can move. The major resolve aspect of this lasts for 23 seconds, so it's not as brief as the damage buff, but just keep that in mind, that 6-second window is what you're looking at for the immobilization of not being knocked back, as well as the increased block mitigation, because those things do drop off after 6 seconds. So just keep that in mind. Thanks again for watching this video. If you liked this video and thought it was helpful, please look at my channel and go into my created playlists that I have. I have all my content separated by subject. I have a tank folder. That's where this folder video is going to go. Check out my other tank stuff if you thought this was interesting. I also have healer stuff, DPS stuff, all kinds of things. Check out all my folders. See if there's anything that I cover on this game that you might not know. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.